All right, so the real benzodiazepine symptoms that I suffered when I actually suffered from them, I'm going to tell you guys straight up. The real benzodiazepine symptoms that came from not non-expired benzodiazepines, I suffered with alprazolam. Clonazepam, no. Lorazepam, no. But alprazolam, it was, I mean, I was taking extremely high dosages, mind you guys, all right? Extremely high, like 7 to 9 milligrams for maybe 2 weeks straight every day throughout the day, just to try to sleep, through opiate withdrawal. And like I said, opiate withdrawal is it's nothing to, you know, it's nothing to say, oh, benzo withdrawal has nothing on opiate withdrawal. If you've been through opiate withdrawal, I don't have to tell my viewers that have been through opiate withdrawal. You have a panic attack for weeks on end, unless you taper or, go on MAT, obviously. Or you have comfort meds, but it doesn't really, comfort meds don't really work with opiates. Yeah, I was taking extremely high dosages of alprazolam. I mean, like I said, very high dosages. I had no tolerance for the first 2.5 days. The third day, tolerance went up, and I was taking the footballs, the blue footballs, and it wasn't fun. Yeah, it calmed me the hell down. Yeah, it calmed me down. But the thing is that like I said, I was taking very high dosages. This wasn't the first time I've ever came off of alprazolam. This wasn't the first time, but this was the highest dosage, and the time span that I was on it was actually the shortest. The shortest time span. But very high dosage. I mean, enough to knock out a freaking elephant. I mean, I didn't weigh much at the time. I was maybe 157 pounds. So yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna knock me out. I'm gonna go to sleep. I ain't gonna feel the opiate withdrawal. I'm gonna go right to bed. No, dude. See, the issue is that with opiate withdrawal, your dopamine receptors are affecting your sleep. It's your dopamine. It's not your Gaba necessarily, but opiates, I mean, they tickle your GABA receptors. I'm sorry, but they tickle your GABA receptors. I mean, you guys know damn well that you take opiates, they calm you the hell down, don't they? They calm you down. They have an anti-anxiety property to them. And yes, you get euphoria. Eventually you don't, but you just keep a stable mood. But, I was taking, like I said, 7 to 9 milligrams of alprazolam. And I remember I was putting the alprazolam. Now, guys, please, I mean, if you're abusing these substances, seriously, I'm not kidding you, please. If you're abusing these substances, do not take this as a technique to get high. Because if you do, leave my channel. Don't subscribe. If you comment anything, if you don't say anything and you're viewing it and you do it, that's on you, but don't, because I have viewers that are trying to get off both, and I don't want them to get the wrong idea and think that, well, I just learned a way to, no. From my personal experience, I wanted the effect as quickly as possible, because opiate withdrawal causes severe panic attacks. I mean, y'all can tell a lot of the benzo viewers, the people that are on benzos or coming off them, tell them straight up, it's a constant, I mean constant panic attack. You do not stop panicking. you're in a panic from beginning to end if you don't do anything about it logically. So Alprazolam, absolute dumbest thing I could have done because half life, how long it lasts, so stupid. It was so dumb. I regret it completely. But that was the only benzo I had real, real withdrawal symptoms from. The first time I ever had withdrawal symptoms, I wasn't taking that high of a dosage. It was maybe like 1 milligram, 1.5, the most. For not that long, maybe like 1.5, almost 2 months. Most nights, almost every night. And it was just to have fun because a buddy of mine was taking them, and I'm like, I don't like this, but hey, whatever. Stops the panic from the weed, and I was smoking when I was younger, so it was fun. I had the stomach cramp and the back pain, some slight heart. My BP was a little bit higher, but I wasn't panicking. But this time, taking almost 9 milligrams, probably 9 milligrams of alprazolam, because it was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dude, I was putting like 7 or 8.5 footballs in a straw, and I was just pinching each side and crushing them up, and then taking a swig of whatever, and orange juice, whatever juice, and then opening in the straw, dumping it in my mouth, and then gulping it, and it hit my stomach, and boom, I was just like calm immediately. But I thought all was well, because I'm like, yeah, I hadn't taken benzos and I don't know how long. I'm fine. I ain't taking a withdrawal from it. Boy, when I this is why I told people in my other video, stop bashing people not only that don't have withdrawal symptoms that were responsible, but don't bash people that do, because there are a high percentage, well, not very, very high, but there are a percentage of people that are sensitive to psychiatric medications. And I mean antipsychotics, SSRIs, SNRIs, benzos. You know what I mean? There are people like that. My sisters, myself in terms of alprazolam. You know what I mean? My mother, I don't know what the hell. I don't know. She's 32 years, 1 milligram. She didn't have any issues cold turkey. I don't know why. But it's still a medical mystery. But oh my god, what happened was I was taking it to try to sleep, and when I tell you guys, don't undermine opiate withdrawal. Oh, benzo withdrawal has nothing on opiate withdrawal. Dude, I was panicking from when it started to when I relapsed again. I mean, your dopamine receptors, you know what I mean? You're fiending for it. I mean, I wasn't causing crime, hurting anybody. You know what I mean? But my subconscious knew, and I was intelligent enough to know that, like, if I was a moron, I could go out there and cause crime or do whatever and get my opiates. I didn't do that, but oh my god, it was torturous. Like, I was like, I need an opiate. And I could take as much Xanax as dude, I'm telling you, I was taking that much. And for my body weight, best believe I was dry drunk. I was like, I never slept a second. A second. Gabapentin worked better for sleep than benzos in opiate withdrawal, but not a second. And I'm taking these benzos, taking them. And I remember after like the 2 week mark of being off opiates, I made it through, but oh my god. When I tell you, when I stopped taking them, I mean, I had a benzo hangover for 2 days. I was calm as shit. I didn't take no more benzos after that. I was calm as shit for 2 days, because you guys know if you don't have a tolerance to benzos and you take high dosages, I mean, the hangover means no anxiety for, well, 2 days goes by, I go to work, and I'm at work, and it finally wears off. I eat, I drink like fluids, and I remember like, oh my God, I was like in my car, and I looked at my buddy Shay, and I'm like, Shay, something don't feel right. He's like, you don't look good. I said, what do you mean? He's like, you're pale. I said, what? I'm like, oh. I started to like panic, and it was so bad that I took 30 milligrams of propranolol, a beta blocker, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's gonna stop my panic and withdrawal symptoms. No, dude, I went into severe, I mean severe low blood pressure. I mean, I was so bad, I was flushed. I was sweating and panicking at the same time. It was weird. My heart was like not racing, but like my mind was, and I was sweating, flushing, and it wasn't good. And I drove myself to the hospital. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't crash. I found a spot. I don't know how, but I found a spot, and I went in, and they just took me right in and were like, "Are you all right?" And EKGs and everything, elevated heart enzymes, and I told them I've been taking Alprazolam. I told them 7 and 9 milligrams for the past 2 weeks every day to get through opiate withdrawal. They're like, all right. They put me in the bed. I waited and suffered. All my family comes, grandma, my nanny, everybody came. And they're all looking at me, and they're like, are you okay? And I get emotional thinking about this, because they were all looking at me, and I'm like, what happened? You took too many of your medications. And I looked at my mother, because she knew, and I was like, and weirdly enough, I was on the banana bag. I had electrolytes, everything going through me. I got better, and I was like, I'm all right. I get put upstairs and admitted overnight, and I'm in there, and my mom and dad are there, and they're like, we're here for you and all that. And I'm like, and my aunt, she worked at that hospital. She still does. She was like looking at my dad, and she's like, what he's going through, it's not gonna get better overnight. And he was like, what? She's like, Frank, it's not gonna get better. He's like, what do you mean? They're gonna take care of him. And I'm looking, I'm like, so I'm in the room, I got the TV on and all that stuff. I used to work at this hospital, so I knew some of the nurses, the aides, and everything. They're looking at me, and they're like, Daniel, what are you doing? The kitchen called me, like, one of my old coworkers called me from the kitchen, like, you need to go to rehab. I'm like, I don't have a benzo addiction. I said, I'm trying to get through opiate withdrawal. And she went through opiate withdrawal. She's like, oh. She's like, well, I hope you learned your lesson. And I'm like, on the phone, I'm like, from the room phone to the kitchen, I'm like, yeah, I think so. Well, my parents left, and I'm in the hospital, and it got worse. I mean, dude, my body was like melting, burning cold, burning cold, burning cold, burning cold. And I'm looking at the nurses and the practice. Everybody came in, and I'm like, can you at least give me Librium so the Alprazolam can, vacate my system so I can not have these withdrawal symptoms? We're not giving you anything. I'm like, what about a beta blocker? You came here because you took too many. I'm like, okay, that was like 12 hours ago. I'm like, my blood pressure is skyrocketing. I'm like, I understand. He was like, please, something to calm me down. So all I did, I had this Asian lady sitting next to me watching me. First it was this black dude and then this Asian lady. They were watching me, they switched shifts, and my stomach, everything was just like, And man, oh man, was I. It got worse overnight. I had the Twilight Zone on, and I'm like, I can't watch the Twilight Zone ever again. I can't do it because my brain associates the Twilight Zone with the Benzo Withdrawal, and it was just replaying over and over a marathon, and I'm like, so the nurse comes in because she's my blood pressure spiking. Are you okay? I'm like, no. I was like, I'm not okay. I was like, I know. I was like, I know I'm intelligent enough to tell you what's going on, even though I'm going through what I'm going through. They're like, well, here's some melatonin. I said, melatonin? I'm like, I'm not sleeping tonight. It ain't happening. I'm like, I'm panicking. And she's like, oh, it'll be done by like tomorrow. I'm like, how long does this last? Even though I already knew like the acute for how long I was taking it. And she was like, 1 to 2 days. I'm like, okay. So I made it through the night. I don't know how. I didn't sleep at all. I tried, couldn't sleep. Next morning comes, they try to feed me. I don't want the food. Then the nurse comes. Here's a benzo. I said, what benzo? She's like, Librium. I said, what milligram? And she told me, and I was like, all right, that's not going to match my symptoms, but that's fine. Thank you. I actually felt pretty good. And when I left, I hit up this chick that had Xanax, Alprazolam, the football, same person. I had like 50 of them, and I just tapered off. It was easy to taper off. Easy. Very easy. I don't know why. It was just so simple to taper off. I was like, shit. All right, I'm taking 7 to 9 milligrams. I'm going to take 4 for like 2 days. And I'm going to take like 2. And then I took like 0.5. And then I think I stopped at 0.5 or 0.25. And that was it. You know what I mean? Once I was done, oddly enough, I don't know. I mean, no. I didn't have any issues. Stomach, all the pain went away. I got hungry again. I slept fine. Everything went away. Everything, everything. Depression was terrible, but that went away. And I'm like, whoa. I even took a Suboxone, and it worked. And that took away actually like 76% of the symptoms. So I was like, a lot of this was from opiate withdrawal. But combination of both, boy, I couldn't even, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I took these beta blockers. I should have known better, but it wasn't easy. And that was, I think, the second time that I had withdrawal from Alprazolam. But those were very high dosages in 2 weeks, in a couple days, but every day, all throughout the day. You know what I mean? I mean, 7 to 9 milligrams at once throughout the day. Do the math. Really, twice a day. So I'm talking like almost 20 milligrams a day. I didn't sleep 1 second. Opiate withdrawal is not to be messed with. It is not comparable to benzo withdrawal. It's a lot of people that go through benzo withdrawal, they've never been through withdrawal at all. So, when they feel withdrawal, they're like, oh my God, opiate withdrawal is nothing on this. Like, you've never been through opiate withdrawal. So what are you saying? And it's like, opiate withdrawal is terrible. I mean, you're fiending. Your dopamine is like, you know what I mean? Your Gaba receptors are like, you're not sleeping. You can take as much benzos as you want. You're not sleeping. So do the math. If you can take almost 20 milligrams of alprazolam a day and you're not sleeping for a second for 2 weeks, the freaking physical withdrawals, they don't last 4 days. I hate when people say In 4 days and you'll be back on your feet. Bullshit. That's not how it works. No. No. I didn't feel physically better. I took the Suboxone after like 12 days. And I still relapsed. What does that tell you? It's not easy at all. It's a constant panic attack. I mean, yeah, I had the benzos, but if I didn't take them, I would have panicked all the time. I wouldn't have slept. I would have been. I mean, your stomach, you feel like you're in a crap. You're gonna urinate. You any ounce of pain. I mean, you feel. I mean, the painkiller. You're gonna feel every ounce of pain anywhere on you. Pain you've never felt, even though you've never had. And I have chronic pain. I have abdominal neuralgia, and I have costochondritis. I have sciatica from getting kicked in the leg a lot, and I have pain in my right knee. I'm assuming from Muay Thai, but it's not easy, dude. Like it's you know what I mean. I hate when people say, "Oh, benzo withdrawal is way worse than opiate withdrawal." Like most of you guys have never been through opiate withdrawal. You're just reading what you read on Google. If you've been through opiate withdrawal, you would know it is like a mixture of both. You panic, you don't sleep, you're seeing shit, you're hallucinating, I mean, dude, all of the symptoms of benzo withdrawal, pain in your, I mean, your eyes. I mean, it's the same thing. But you also fiend because your dopamine receptors are completely out of whack. So think about that. Like, it's not easy to come off of opiates at all. And if I'm taking near 20 milligrams of alprazolam just to sleep a day for 2 weeks and I don't sleep, what does that tell you? It doesn't take a fucking rocket science. It doesn't even take any type of certified anybody unless you've been through it. It's not easy, dude. My people will tell you straight up that have been through it down below. Just say it. The worst opiate withdrawal you've been through. You didn't sleep. It was like one constant panic attack. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. Why do you think the relapse rate is so high? Benzos, people they don't, fiend for them. They're like, I would love, even half of what I was taking. They're not fiending. They want to taper. Their brains like taper. Their subconscious is like taper. With opiates, you don't know what to do with yourself, man. You're just like, I'm glad I made it this far. That's what I'm telling you right now. I'm glad I made it to where I'm at because I can never go back. Like I can't think about that stuff anymore like that. I don't romanticize it. I don't get excited thinking about it if I ever do, which I really don't. I mean, sometimes like it might cross my mind where I'm like, oh, I wonder what it felt like. But I'm so ADHD. I don't fucking remember anymore. I don't remember what it feels like to be high on an opiate. That's the weird thing. I don't remember anymore. I'm glad I don't, because I don't want to remember. But I remember being in a constant state of being okay, not sick. Using made me feel the way I am now. Just normal. Like I can go to sleep. I can do whatever I want. But using opiates to get to this point, where to now I don't have to. It's hard to explain to you guys, but once you get to the other side, and it doesn't always last 2 weeks. It depends on what you're using, the potency. It depends on if you taper. It depends on a lot of factors, But when you crash, I mean, you're looking at nearly 2 weeks of physical pain. Anybody that's really been through even um, acute opiate withdrawal, short-acting opiates, I mean, dude, it's not 4 days. Like, anybody that tells you that, they're trying to make you feel better. No, dude. It's like 2 weeks constant. Like it does get better, like throughout time. Stop doing it. It gets better throughout, like, after like a week, like you start to like level off a bit, but especially if you're hypersensitive to medications in general. If you don't drink, especially, it's a sign that you're hypersensitive to coming off medications. But I wasn't drinking. You know what I mean? I just was like, whoa, like, I'm telling you. It's nothing to be fucked with. Opiate withdrawal sucks. Like I said, my people will tell you. People that follow me, comment down below and tell us straight up. It ain't no 4 days of. It's not for. If you go on MAT, yeah, it might be 4 days. But no, if you don't, it's not 4 days. It's like 2 weeks of physical pain. I mean, you're it's terrible. Your brain is the dopamine is the lack of dopamine is what's making you not sleep. Clearly, because you can take as many benzos as I was taking and not sleep a second. So you ain't sleeping your way through it, man. That's why I support tapering, because you don't want to crash, or else you benzo people talk about brain damage. Crash off a hardcore opiate and tell me how you feel. It ain't fun, dude. I'm not proud of it. I don't even like thinking about it, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? It's not, dude. It's not easy. It's very hard on us. Opiates are not something to mess with. Like they're not. Like yeah, I've seen people have seizures coming off opiates. I've seen it, and they tested negative for benzo. They weren't. They don't like benzos. They don't drink. They didn't do none of that. Just opiates. And no, their opiates were not tainted with benzos. They were on pure opiates and had seizures, akathisia. They had all of that the same symptoms, and that's what I don't like is that people downplay opiate withdrawal like it's simple. It's not simple. When your dopamine comes into play and your Gaba receptors are getting tickled, I mean, dude, almost 20 milligrams of Alprazolam without a tolerance is not making you sleep. Do the math. Like, do the math. Opiate withdrawal is not simple. It's not easy. You can get through it. It is possible. Doesn't mean you're gonna die, but like you can have seizures. You don't want to eat or drink, which leads to severe hydration, which leads to seizures and potential coma. So, don't downplay the opiate world, guys and girls. Please do not, because people will comment down below and tell you, I've been through severe opiate withdrawal, oxycontin, oxycodone, the formulation, fentanyl, heroin, whatever analog of fentanyl you're on, um, shit, even tramadol, you know, messes with your serotonin. It has almost like an SSRI effect on you with pain killing properties. It's a mess, man. Like it's not easy. Why do you think people relapse and die? People that relapse on benzos, they don't often die. They get better, they get reinstated, but they don't die. You know what I mean? I mean, you guys should be intelligent enough to know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the benzo withdrawal definitely sucked. Alprazolam. But I do know when I took that Suboxone, like 76% of it was like okay. I was like, wow, I feel a lot better. It's like, wow, like not completely better, but like I felt pretty good. I was like, oh, a lot of it was the opiate withdrawal, but when it came to the benzo, that was tough too, dude. Whew. I mean, my body was. I mean, I couldn't tell if it was really the opiate or the benzo. It was hard to tell. It's hard to tell. You know what I mean? But I could feel the benzo aspect. And I was like, oof, like this ain't cool, man. Like this is not good. You know what I mean? So just be careful. Don't crash, man. Don't taper. Even if you're on both. Even if the pills you're taking are pressed both, taper. Just taper. That's why I say taper, because you crash the way I did and you try to subdue that withdrawal with just benzos, you're not gonna sleep, man. It's a fantasy. Sorry, it's a fantasy. You're not gonna sleep. So anyway, that was just that story, and that was kind of fucking crazy. So just know that you can get better. You know what I mean? It might seem impossible, but like look where I'm at now. I don't take those anymore. So it's like I never thought, at a point I never thought I'd be here. So I don't crave opiates anymore. I don't crave that crap anymore. It's weird. It's not weird anymore. It was weird. Now it's not weird. Now it's. I used to work so hard to feel normal the way I am now, but you know what I mean. It does happen. You do balance out. So don't don't psych yourselves out. You don't see opiate withdrawal groups the way you see benzo groups now. So people get better. The people that get better tend to disappear. They don't come back. It's a little something I could tell you. Benzo, opiate, whatever. They don't come back to the groups. And you might be like, where'd you go? Is everything better? How are you? I see it on YouTube all the time. How are you? Are you better? 7 years later. Are you better? I'm like, if they're not writing back almost a decade later, chances are either they're not better, but chances mostly are that they got better and they don't want to be a part of that world anymore. They don't want to look back at that. So just know you can get better. Don't crash. Be smart. Taper, like I always say.